right. Well, on the other side, we've got a really interesting matchup with this, which is DeathTacticus and Sauerkraut. DeathTacticus actually with a really strong 7-3 victory over Screwloose in the quarterfinals. And this is already a heck of a run for them. They've gotten very good very fast, as a lot of people already knew going into this. But I still think finals of the Summer Cup, if they can make it, would exceed probably even their expectations and most of their fans as well. They were actually in your group there, Dells, and went 2-0-1. Sorry, 1-0-2 rather. 2 ties. Did not lose at all, but only won once. But since they got into the bracket stage, just one solid win after another, as you can see here. 6-1, 6-2, 7-3. Those first 2 competitors, intermediates maybe, moderately experienced, but Screwloose, very experienced, very good. So that's a really strong win there. Clearly, Death showing that everyone that this is no fluke at all. They deserve to be here. And now Sauerkraut, the only thing standing between them and a date with Opie in the finals.
Yeah, and those, that's not an easy run. DeathTacticus has been absolutely smashing it, and now has come up against Sauerkraut. This is going to be interesting as we step back into Redwoods to open up the match. Normally we go through the match format again, but it's been 20 minutes.
Yeah, if you forgot, that's totally on you.
Let's get this thing started. DeathTacticus starting game number 1 on the Spy side against Sauerkraut Sniper on Redwoods in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I remember the beginning of SCL 6. You and I cast the match, DeathTacticus' first match, and we were talking about how fun the username is to say, how much we liked it and all that stuff, and they were pretty new then, and my God, look at how good these players get after just a few months.
We're still AI control.
Okay, well, this is still less weird than the previous match.
Okay, well, we've taken control. I actually don't mind that, especially since there was some pretty AI-like maneuvers in that opening period of the game that normally just don't happen.
Yeah, and it's important to do it sometimes, because if you are known for taking control immediately, and most spies take control within the first few seconds pretty regularly, then it suddenly safe to start taking lowlights for things. But if you're willing to just occasionally wait a few extra seconds, that really hamstrings snipers who like those pathing lowlights, who like Time of Chaos lowlights, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Not a whole lot going on in this conversation at the moment. We're kind of hoping that the seduction target would come join us, but that did not wind up happening. So DeathTacticus steps out towards the balcony railing and is just gonna stand here for a bit.
And Sauerkraut in particular paying a lot of attention to Purloin, I would say, more than most other hard-to-tell missions. And Sauerkraut, by the way, was in Pwn Noob's group. Went 2-1. Their only loss to Pwn Noob.
So, slow start from DeathTacticus, even the AI control notwithstanding. Here's the contact coming off. Lets off, I think, what would have been just the one lowlight, but Sauerkraut assumes real and is correct.
That'll work. It was a really good contact, too, and that's actually probably why they assumed real. Sometimes, if a spy doesn't give you enough lowlights, you are incentivized to take that kind of chance.
Absolutely. In conversation with the seduction target now, setting up for that first flirt, but time is very much not on DeathTacticus' side. Minute and 20 left on the clock.
Yeah, first flirt and minute 20 left on the clock. That's not
Why
great.
is this an innocent talk? Why are we not flirting?
That's a good point. It really feels like we're just banking on the Civ shot, but as you point out, what is the downside here?
There is no downside to just pressing the other mouse button in that situation. Back to our spot at the railing we go, under a minute to play. It's gonna be a white test time ad.
Yeah, and we were on screen when it went off, but Sauerkraut zoomed in immediately afterwards to protect the ambassador instead.
What an odd little game we've got going on here, but luckily odd in a different direction from last match. Seduction target rejoins the conversation, but with a minute and 15, I don't, if we had that first flirt, we could still get this done. At this point, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, think of how different this would look if we had a couple of flirts now. If we just prioritized it just a little bit. We didn't have to be particularly aggressive about it either. Suddenly we'd have 2 missions, and this is a venue where you can rush missions late if you need to.
50 seconds left to play. Red flirt, so trying to...
It leads to a highlight. Look at
definitely
that.
Trying to throw shade on the seduction target here.
It made her walk by the ambassador. That might be part of it, but also just breaking animation and leaving suddenly might have been part of it as well. Whatever it was, you got to imagine that's why you would do something like that. It does seem to have worked, but if it doesn't lead to a shot, what good is it?
It has to work a lot better than that. We're under 30 seconds once again. The beep beeps have begun, and DeathTacticus is very swiftly running out of options.
Yeah, and Sauerkraut looks determined to hold, but those beeps, man, they get to you. Big moment of truth coming up.
Fake contact coming off. In the waning seconds of the game, I think this is too obviously bait. I don't think Sauerkraut's going to take it. And indeed, DeathTacticus times out in game number 1.
Absolutely. You do have to at least try it, and they did get it off before 10 seconds. That's something we end up criticizing a lot, Tobo, when the desperation contact with under 10 seconds left in the game, so the sniper waits for OT that never comes. It's important to even get that desperation move off early enough that the sniper will at least be tested. But Sauerkraut was tested and passed, held the shot, did not look close to shooting, and look at this too. Not only is it a timeout, but the sniper's last view is zoomed in on the spy anyway, who had one mission done. They were all over that. That's some really good patience from Sauerkraut at exactly the time when Death decided to test their patience.
Good. It's good match play, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's a perfectly reasonable move.
Keep the snipers honest, especially early on in the match.
I agree. It's a reasonable move.
Sauerkraut, sitting up on the spy side, has a chance to take a lead early on. Let's see if he can make it happen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
There's that immediate control we were talking about, 1 second into the game. That's a little more normal.
Starting things out, hanging out at the fireplace just to see what the party gives us, and the party gives us a flirt. So starting this one off by the books, it is just a white test, though, for 34%.
And I want to be watching for what DeathTacticus does with their highlights. They are not highlighting for bar, for example, which means they're probably saving them for statues, but we'll know for sure soon. They are, however, prioritizing Amba protection early.
And it looks like Sauerkraut's probably just going to sit here and wait for the timer flirt, if he can get it.
Yeah, you don't see that as often when the first one is a white test, 34%, but I still think you can definitely justify it in general, and particularly on Redwoods.
So it's not a super fast start out of Sauerkraut, but it doesn't really need to be on this venue.
No, it doesn't. And alert, Smallman is seduction target. I like to remind people that Smallman is seduction target is the only role you can give them other than spy that guarantees that they're not going to be cast, and therefore someone that the sniper can rule out and not have to watch for.
It is a timer flirt, but it's another white test, so that's 68%, meaning we're going to have to get nice and close to the seduction target for this last flirt as well.
Probably not too bad. Usually the divide is between 2 and 3. Pretty unlikely it's going to be 3-4, unless one of those conversations out front gets really packed. That can be a problem, but barring that, should be fine.
Minute and 50 seconds left to play. Not a huge amount of progress, but still plenty of time. As back into conversation we go to finish up the flirt. There indeed, the flirt is done. So that's one mission in the books.
Yeah, with 90 seconds left, all the missions left can be done quickly.
Fake contact, splits and takes the low light for it, but then gets neutral it for bar. Never mind.
There it is. Misclick.
Oh, that was a direct purloin. He just straight up took it.
Yep, we're doing a direct purloin, trying to look like we were delegated to by either Queen or Teal. We were smashed in next to both of them.
That's a highlight. I don't know if he's noticed the list gone, but considering the lowlights that are coming off, I think he has indeed. So DeathTacticus probably has it down to 2.
It's really putting a lot of faith in your opponent to do the direct purloin, to know that they're on it enough to suspect the person you're trying to frame and not yourself. It's a very risky thing to do on any venue, and on Redwoods, it's really playing with fire.
Also, Smallman remains neutral lit because you can never tell what that man is doing.
Nope. I'm pretty sure he was never at the bar, but I'm not sure enough to lowlight him.
Indeed. So 30 seconds left to play. I I don't see a way of getting 2 missions by DeathTacticus. The bug might be a way to start, but it does get caught out, and DeathTacticus keeps things tied coming out of the first venue.
You say get 2 missions by, not even 1 as it turns out. That was really expertly narrowed down from Death, who did not overreact to the Purloin, realized that they were not close to finishing, and shows a little patience of their own. And as you say, 1-1.
And now we step into the pub with a few extra party goers this time around. DeathTacticus on the spy side, Sauerkraut on the sniper for 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I like, with this higher guest count in particular, that you can get a lot of the more suspicious guests in the party if you want. You can get both twins in, which is what we have here, stuff like that. Whereas you really have to pick and choose with the SCL setup, for example.
Early flirt at the windows brings us up to 27%. So not green nor super close, but a solid flirt nonetheless.
It's one of those flirts where, in a normal context, you'd be very disappointed, but when it's for free at the beginning of the game like that, without following anyone into a conversation, it's great.
At windows especially.
Mm-hmm.
Into conversation we go with both the seduction target and the ambassador in a buggable situation if we didn't have that drink in our hand. There's the flirt coming off. It's another white, though. That puts us at 61%, which is out of 3 flirt range, unless we can hit a green.
Yeah, and these are smaller conversation circles in particular, so even when you're standing across from your seduction target here on pub, you're actually closer to them than if you're standing across from them on many other venues. So I think a green will get it done.
Yeah, it absolutely should. It probably won't matter from where unless it's a distant bar or window flirt. Staying in conversation with the ST, though, might try for a timer flirt here. Two minutes left to play, eyeing up the double agent a little bit, but here's the flirt, and it is green. So DeathTacticus is, in fact, able to get it done in 3.
Yeah, very nice there, and rewards the patience. We kind of leave, I think, a little early on our talk there, so we can try to go get this contact in real quick, and it's actually a pretty decent one if we get 1 or 2 more people in.
Well, we'll see what happens. Smallman steps away. Oh, wow, enters our conversation.
Oh, that's great.
Instead. That's very, very nice. Might be worth taking it just for that.
Spies
There's not too many people out, but not pulling the trigger.
Smallman hiding behind the conversation like that? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here it is. No, it was a white test, and the double agent bailed on us!
Sauerkraut doesn't react at all because they are completely protecting the ambassador when it happens, and don't even get one of the lowlights happening right in front of them, which was Duke. Does not zoom out to see who else is in or out at all. Sauerkraut did not care about that contact. They only cared about guarding the bug. I've never seen someone care so little about a banana bread.
Yeah, that's very all in, but luckily for Sauerkraut, contact didn't take because the double agent bailed. Into bar we go, but this is starting to look like desperation times. The time ticks down to 35 seconds.
I think the idea here is just, I think I can recover from anything other than a missed bug. I'm going to just assume everyone has contact, that I don't get right in front of me low light wise. I'm going to keep an eye on the purloin and fingerprints out of the corner of my eye, but the only thing I really need to worry about is that he doesn't get bugged by me.
Very bold move. It's 15 seconds. We spent so much time at this bar. There's just a straight up take. Went safety off for a second. Safety off again. The shot comes off, and Sauerkraut is absolutely on top of things.
Has to line things up a little better, and the spy takes a bullet to the knee. That's what happens after all that. The purloin, though, again, we talk about getting this off before 10 seconds so that there won't be any overtime, at least for the sniper to bank on. That does happen again. The purloin does come off in time to at least force a shot. The problem is, it's on us.
You hate to see it. As Sauerkraut gets ready to play from the spy side, again with a chance to take the lead in the set against DeathTacticus' sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We've seen some really, really patient sniping so far. It has been, in some ways, the polar opposite of the previous match. The much more experienced players shooting left and right and early and civs all over. The two less experienced players, on the other hand, like patient, seasoned vets. I love it.
Yeah, we don't talk about that match. Fingerprint on the briefcase. You don't usually see that as a start, but it's a very powerful one if you can get it off. Getting an early print like that really opens options for you later in the game.
Yeah, it's very noticeable, but sometimes that's what people like about it.
Oh no, the path!
Oh, such a bug path with no bug. Death is not really reacting to it, though. They might just be crediting it, they might not. They might just understand that, boy, that would be a really bold move, and it would have been. But in that case, it's just a needless risk, I think. The interesting thing about the briefcase print in particular is that it's super visible, super public, and that's kind of what can work for you, is that you're not even trying to hide it, and the sniper knows you're not trying to hide it. You both know this character has a fingerprint, so if it is the spy, they are willingly giving that up about themselves.
And if you put... Getting it that early means if you can put enough time delay between the first and second print, it's not unheard of that a sniper will just forget. There's the first flirt coming off, a close green for 51%, with just over 2 minutes to play.
I think you're right. Spacing out those prints can work really, really well, but you need a little help from the AMBA. You don't want to be doing briefcase twice if you can help it.
Yeah, absolutely not. That would be an unfortunate situation. It looks like we are going to hang out for the timer flirt here, see if we can get it done in 2. We only need 3 missions on this venue, remember.
Yeah, very true. So if you get that second print, and you don't have to chase the seduction target around too much late, it could just be a really boring, clean win.
There's the cooldown, there's the flirt. It's not green, though, so it's 85%.
And we're low enough on time now that we have to start thinking, especially with our seduction target gone now, have to start thinking about taking that case right now for that second print, or we're going to run out of time in a hurry. I don't think we have any other options.
There's the banana split into the briefcase for the print, into the bullet for a tied match.
I think that was a necessary move. The party was not giving them what they wanted. There were no other viable prints that I saw, or not what they wanted, at least. Even though it didn't work, even though Death was correct, I think if their plan was to finish print, they had to go then. Problem was, Death was all over it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think at that point, you might just have to abandon the prints and try to get something from the bar, but unfortunately, just didn't wind up happening, so we're tied at 2. Going into the library with DeathTacticus on the spy side to open things up in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
First spy to rush gets a mission win? Is that what's going to happen? Someone just going to eventually put their foot on the gas and take one, and that'll be the set? Could be.
It may well be, but the snipers have been on top of things, and it hasn't all just been good patience. DeathTacticus doing the standard thing on basically every venue and trying to open up with the flirt. Unfortunately, in this case, the seduction target's not having it.
Yeah, it's still library. You still have plenty of time, but these things do have a way to bite you a little bit later if you're not careful, especially given that you took your time and sipped your drink at the beginning. But as we've established, these spies have been very, very slow, very patient, but still, in most cases, able to get near mission win complete by the end.
In conversation with the double agent now, might be going for an early contact. It's a pretty decent time for it, too. Well, it was, and before everyone started walking at the same time.
The AI has a way of making our predictions look very silly.
There's the contact coming off. 4 lowlights on screen when it happened. Not able to confidently get any of the others except for
White Purloin behind the pillar while the lowlights are taken.
That's very true. I don't think it was seen.
Well, we were highlight right afterwards, so I think we're in trouble potentially. But it's possible that Sauerkraut could get a little paranoid and not be at all confident because they did take several seconds to get those lowlights, which means when they looked over, it was very plausible that they missed a green reject. Very plausible. And I think that was obviously the plan. And if they hit it, I think they get away with it because that long take is what got them. But it was behind the pillar, so the fade was not visible from that angle.
Yeah, I think DeathTacticus quite likely just highlight due to the positioning there, although we've also got the twin tucked behind the pillar.
Yeah, I think if that's just BB into green purloin and bail, it just works really, really well. You're definitely banking on it, I think, because the white is big trouble. But that white went about as well as a white can go in this case. The fade's not visible. The sniper didn't seem to be all over it, so could have been worse, let's say that.
It may very well still work out. 2 minutes and 15 left to play. Still need 3 mission completions, so time is starting to run low. We don't even have a single flirt yet either, so that's not a good situation.
This is where our job gets really hard, because the difference between a sniper who's almost positive that this is a white purloin and is waiting it out, and a sniper who's genuinely not sure and is going to be itchy and shoot someone else, like Sorry, who goes to center statues or something, the difference between those two things on the sniper cam is minimal sometimes. And it can be very hard to tell whether or not they're just waiting. But they are guarding the ambassador, who's nowhere near the spy, enough to make me think that they are not just waiting for any excuse to shoot the spy.
First flirt finally comes off with like 45 seconds left on the clock. It is a close green for 51%, but a catch on the way out of conversation just as the sniper swung over could have been bad for DeathTacticus. Luckily, I don't think Sauerkraut saw it.
I'm very concerned that we are actually, I'm concerned for Sauerkraut.
Green time ad.
Green time ad, that's going to help a lot. That the spy is not actually a super suspect here among the remaining suspects. I think it really might be 5 or 6 people. We're not very confident. But
never mind!
Wait, well, here's the question. Did the time ad do it? Because they were looking at Sorry when the time ad took, and Sorry was not near a window. They were just going back and forth between Sorry and Teal a lot there for the last minute, and I think maybe that green time ad convinced them, okay, I think I know who it is now.
I think you may very well be right. It was a green time ad, but sometimes getting that green test isn't enough. Second flirt came off on a white test for 85%, and DeathTacticus looked like he had the game almost locked up for a little while there, and now it's looking a lot less certain. In fact, I'd even say DeathTacticus is well behind.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We are top suspect. We've got 1 hard tell done, and normally that would be fine, except it's library, seduce isn't done, and one of your soft tells is a center statue visit, which would probably be death by itself. I just don't see how you're going to get here.
You almost have to get someone else shot, but we don't really have a frame target right now. The one person we've been trying that we might be able to line up, I don't think DeathTacticus even knows is suspicious.
Well, when you have a green purloin, you maybe notice who rejected before you. You maybe notice, wow, that's a bug path with no bug, and I'm going to get shot anyway.
Yeah, that was too much of a bug path. You just can't get away with that.
I mean, at that point, you're actually maybe taking that and trusting that the sniper sees you haven't bugged, because that would lose you heat if they're confident you didn't bug. But it actually wasn't obvious enough that they didn't bug is the problem. They have to be confident that you didn't, in which case maybe that causes them to think, because who would do that, right, after a white purloin? Yeah. But in this case, it actually looked plausible that they bugged. So, and Sauerkraut has just been absolutely laser focused, no pun intended, on the bug. The thing that you mentioned about frame targets, it's really important. When you hit a white purloin, you don't necessarily know who your frame targets are. If you notice someone reject in front of you, maybe you know that. But if it's a green purloin, usually the spy will make a point to see who does the actual taking, at least, and you know that they're a viable option potentially. But in this case, no idea at all, and we get shot for a bug not taken.
Sauerkraut once again finds himself up by 1 coming out of the venue on the spy side. Let's see if he can actually secure himself a lead this time around. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Very unusually busy center at the start of this game here. Sauerkraut, I think, wanted that flirt, but had to find a way to navigate around rather than trying to jam himself into that conversation. Now finally slips his way in for the 34% flirt. And immediately steps away and to the other side of the seduction target? Oh, wanted to get behind the pillar for the green purloin. All right, this could be really big, especially if we get some rejects. No, it looks like it's going to be a take right off the bat. There's the purloin. Immediately, Sauerkraut takes a highlight. These purloins are just not happening for the spies tonight. In conversation we go with the suspected double agent. I'm a little bit worried about what might happen if we try to do a fake contact to lose a bit of heat in this situation. There's a take from Sauerkraut.
Just as important as the highlight after the green is the low light on the list taker because they're confident of the fade. That is a really, really big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. 80% now on the flirt, but that's not the story here. I don't think Sauerkraut's going to find a way to survive this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It was a really good play. I think they were a little too visible behind the pillar. It's actually kind of reminiscent of that swap hide in the previous match that we saw, is that they were sticking out from the side a little bit. Same thing here, except with the pillar instead of Duke. Pretty good move, hit the green, got the reject they needed, but being able to see that fade and ruling out the actual list taker, it's just such a big deal.
Wanted that extra flirt at the green bookcase, but seduction target steps away, green book in hand. Sauerkraut might do something similar as an excuse to meet up with the seduction target later on, but might not have enough time for it either. Book goes away clean, and we're just going to take the flirt in the conversation. Wanted to set up the contact as well, but the AI just aren't being kind right now.
No, and it's basically just the same thing. We're just a huge suspect for the purloin, just like last time. Even though this purloin was much, much better than the last one, the result is the same. The sniper's on the ball, it's narrowed down, and now they have to complete several missions on library as probably the top suspect. That's just not a thing that really happens.
Well, we've got the flirt done, so we've got 2 missions in the bank.
This could be it.
We step into center statues for a third. This could be a shot right here. Indeed, it is. DeathTacticus not willing to risk having missed some stuff. The shot comes off, and we, once again, remain tied. We have split every single venue so far, as we move into Aquarium next.
If you want spy wins, if you want to break up this sniper monopoly, this is one of the venues you can do it on. It's going to happen at some point, right? They're going to get a spy win, and when we get one, that player is going to become the favorite to advance to the finals immediately.
Let's see if DeathTacticus can make it happen from the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Top right shark. Bottom right spy.
Yeah, DeathTacticus with a slow start, just sort of hanging out, finds himself alone in a conversation circle here, so probably just wants to see where the seduction target ends up, and it's right next to DeathTacticus, who picks up a quick green flirt for 43%. How lucky is that?
Apparently we batted an eyelash.
And it's into the green bookcase we go.
And you're not going to believe this, but Sauerkraut still zooming in on the Amba, keeping them on screen. It's a little hard to do because, you literally can't because of the shark.
We have some shark business going on. We're riding this green book all the way across.
It'll work better if the ambassador becomes vulnerable again, but they're not. And look at this.
But the book has made it across cleanly. The book has made it all the way to the blue side. That's the microfilm done.
We are obligated to take this case, and we're going to do it. The question is, are they going to say, wait a second, I don't know how you got there at all? That's the question.
Difficult print. Does hit it while walking. You love to see it. This could very well be that spy win DeathTacticus. I guess both players actually have been so desperately searching for.
Early flirt where there's no chance of being flirt paired, idled in the beginning, hit the green on the distant flirt, the book might be free, and the fingerprint is difficult. All that adds up to this could be the spy win.
Everything's coming up Tacticus right now. 77% after the second flirt came up white. 2 minutes still to play. It's looking good.
Yeah, don't let the cane fool you. It's an affectation. This is a very sneaky spy, and he can hoof it when he has to. It's actually one of the quicker characters.
Into conversation with the double agent we go. Lots of activity in conversations. This is a fantastic time for it. Just waiting for a couple of people to settle. Another one winds up in conversation. We start taking the contact. Somebody leaves, but there's, I think, a 3 low light contact.
And the ambassador completely covered by middle shark, which I assume gives Sauerkraut a short existential crisis.
Absolutely. Minute and 20 left on the clock. One more flirt and one more fingerprint will make it happen, but no one is in the ambassador's personal space right now. There was a chance for DeathTacticus to do it himself, but that chance has gone as the seduction target steps away. That briefcase is looking awfully tempting as the flirt gets finished up. 1 minute to play and 1 print away from the first spy win of the match.
Let's see if somebody goes next to them here. If they don't, I think as long as the shark isn't blocking, you can go force this and be confident you're not suspected of the bug. But that's the important part. Do not get suspected of this bug. You don't want it, you don't need it, and Sauerkraut is watching it.
DeathTacticus goes wide enough.
Print for the win.
Here we go. Oh, he's thinking about it. The print comes. 8 seconds. Is he going to pull the trigger? He's thinking about it.
Can he do this? He's worried about the
seconds.
swap. He's not invisible. He knows it's not a swap.
He was trying to find the swap and got beat by the print. DeathTacticus finds the first spy win of the match.
That's what that flash on the spy was for on the sniper side. If you were watching on the sniper side, they flashed onto the spy. It was because this character is going to the back statue late. 37 seconds, they're approaching it. It's the timing and the possible swap, I think, there. But if they didn't suspect that first print, the difficult, for example, or forgot there was one on the statue, I don't know which is more likely, that would be reason enough. They'd be waiting for a swap that never comes. And the funny thing is, if we got a different statue idle animation so that they were not confident the swap hadn't happened, then the shot probably comes off. But they actually get a nice, clear look at the statue, know it's not a swap, and hold it.
That microfilm early, when you get it behind the shark completely clean like that, that's what screwed up the mission count. That's why Sauerkraut wasn't comfortable taking the shot for the print alone, and now he finds himself on the spy side needing to catch up instead of fighting for a win. Let's see if he can hold it to a draw once more in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Huge game. If Death cashes this in, suddenly they're in a dominating position to play OP in the finals. But it's Aquarium. Easier said than done. There's a reason this was the first spy win.
And there's that big first flirt immediately going in for the close green for 51%.
And you notice, even with that spy win, though, it wasn't particularly aggressive. There was that one move, but it was paced out quite a bit. Finished with about 30 seconds left. These spies are playing it slow, deliberate, making solid pacing, and the snipers are mostly waiting them out. But when they can get to that difficult complete, it is working. That was actually, the fact that they were almost shot there was actually very impressive, because that was a very, very strong spy game.
Yeah, I can't believe Sauerkraut got as close as he did, to be honest, but these players get scary very fast.
They sure do. Even with names like Sauerkraut, which are particularly non-threatening.
There's the toe flirt, too, on the timer.
Wow.
That's
3 minutes left and Seduce is done. Yeah, 3 minutes too, and it's the longest one. That is excellent.
You'll love to see that if you're Sauerkraut, but what's the plan moving forward? Where are you heading next? Double Agent is not in a particularly inviting position, so it looks like we're headed to the bar. Maybe, if we got the timing right on this, we'll be able to get a print off of the drink. We got a little bit of waiting to do, though, before it happens. And we did get the timing right for the print.
And it doesn't look too aggressive. It doesn't really look like a spy going for a print, I don't think, exactly. But either way, we're still going to be credited with it, is the problem.
Here's the take. Grabs a delegate while he's here. Print comes off. 2 minutes to play. And we go for the briefcase. So that's 2 prints in a matter of seconds. Mission done, but in a fairly suspicious manner.
Well, it's kind of like that pub game that Death shot for, where we did 2 prints, both in the briefcase, both of those really public prints, right? Like, I know you know I could have prints, kind of prints. This is kind of the same thing. We're not really hiding the prints at all, and you're just hoping that maybe you get some credit for that, because why would the spy be so obvious, right? That kind of thing. But if it's anything like the pub game, Death's not going to fall for it. They know prints are probably done. Question is, they want to shoot someone for the first moment they could be done.
Nice little sip cancel after the return as well. So we've got the flirt done, we've got the print done, we are lining up a contact right now. It's even a pretty good time for it. We're waiting for the shark to try to distract from a bug, but it's not going to happen. The ambassador steps away, and now we've just got the contact look.
Yeah, that purloin is not going to happen, not even going to be attempted. We picked it up while we were there, because why not? But we decided not to do anything with it.
Another chance, but I think the shark is too low this time around. Yeah, that one's not going to happen. The double agent has stepped away as well. I'm shocked we didn't take the contact at any time during all of that.
Yeah, and I'm also shocked by all these highlights. Look at this.
Here comes the bug. Nope, ambassador leaves. There's so many opportunities that aren't quite happening, but the double agent rejoins at the perfect moment. Here comes the contact. It's a pretty good one, too, assuming people stay put. No, it's not good enough!
Yep.
DeathTacticus takes the shot and finds himself with a lead at the end of a venue for the first time this match.
That's really, really huge. This is the one they needed to really cash in so that the spy game was actually worth something. And you can see it's the same thing as pub. It's Sauerkraut doing prints transparently, and Death saying, no, you get no credit for being obvious about it. No head games. You have prints. That's it. That's all I need to know.
And that could be huge. DeathTacticus, I believe, 2 games away from the match win, and that puts Sauerkraut with some catching up to do from the sniper side of High Rise against DeathTacticus' spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And it's no bug! The bug got taken off!
Wow, you see swap off all the time. You usually see microfilm. The argument is usually purloin or fingerprint. In this case, Death says, why not both? Because, what we've been saying all the time, Sauerkraut has been staring at the bug. And Sauerkraut is actually still looking at the ambassador. They were zoomed in on the ambassador. Do they know bug is off?
Oh man, this could be the play of a century. Just catching Sauerkraut not paying attention, quite possibly, to the mission layout, might still be watching for the bug.
I'm not sure. It might just be habit, too. It's really, really weird for someone to take off bug.
Yeah, it's jarring as a sniper when this happens to you. You just don't know what to do with yourself.
So what's Sauerkraut gonna do with the extra attention is really the question here. But I still think it's a little much on High Rise, but I kind of get it for someone selling out this hard on bug. You're really hoping that an AI completes, and we've seen, obviously, in some of these games, we've seen that, hey, sometimes you finish prints, and it doesn't matter how AI like you seem otherwise. You just get shot because you're done. But wow, what a move, though. What a decision to take off bug for someone camping it that hard.
Absolutely. 39% off of a distant green first flirt.
And Sauerkraut, you can see actually zoomed in on a statue visitor there where the ambo is nowhere near, so they are, in fact, looking for blinks.
Under 2 minutes to play. We still just have that one flirt, but there's a lot of time to work on this venue. 2 minutes with no completions or not really a lot of progress can feel rough, but you only need 3 missions on this venue, so there's still a ton of time to work with. In with the double agent as well, so when people start filtering back into conversation, we'll be in a position to capitalize. Now that the ambassador's left, we might be able to get the seduction target in a good position if she joins our conversation, but unfortunately she does not.
Sauerkraut flashes onto Taft there for that briefcase pickup, and a very, very long pause afterwards, by the way. That's about as long as I think you'll see from an AI on that move. Sauerkraut, so obviously all over potential printers, and that's kind of the idea here, right? You leave print on, so maybe AIs finish and you get a civ shot, but you have Purloin as a desperation last mission like bug that you can't crash now. So I think that's the idea, at least.
Speaking of desperation, we're starting to slip into that territory as we're 50 seconds left on the clock and no extra progress since that first flirt came off. I think we might be banking on a civ shot here.
Yeah, leaving on that Softel. We've had very few.
It's the fake contact. Here we go.
And only the front conversation has a reel.
Safety's off. The shot comes off. And Sauerkraut gets baited into a bad bullet. DeathTacticus finds himself on match point.
That's absolutely huge. Yeah, just banking on it completely, hoping that somebody, I was going to say finishes, but I'm trying to think. I think she had inspects. I think that's all there was to it.
DeathTacticus has played a couple of really, really brilliant games of Spy. The one on Aquarium was just really good technical spy play. This one was all mind games.
Yeah, well, or just wait, yeah, or hoping AI is complete, right? Because you do get to leave inspects on there too. And fingerprints, as far as I can tell, not completed by an AI, but there were several early statue visitors, and that is exactly what you're hoping for in a high-rise game like this. That gives you a lot of options potentially, and sometimes you just pick a good contact. That actually is the real move here from DeathTacticus, I think. You can't really control that there were those statue visitors. That's just, blind luck. But you can pick a good contact, and in this case, you can see the SDA is out front. We don't look like we're doing anything at all. Multiple highlights are in that front conversation. That's how you maximize your chances.
And with the bug being taken off, it helps maximize the chances even more that an AI will find a print.
Yeah, and there were some. They don't think they finished that. In this case, it was just the boring old inspects, really, but that's it.
Now, Sauerkraut with a mountain to climb, 3 match points to survive to force it to extra time against DeathTacticus' sniper. Let's see if this is it or the set goes on in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Spy game on high rise to keep your tournament alive. I said earlier that Death has had a great run, even if it ends here. That's also true of Sauerkraut, certainly. Either one of these players, if you told them beforehand, hey, you're going to make the semifinals, I think they'd be like, wow, great, that's pretty awesome. This is a tough field. But now that you're actually here, suddenly you just want that one more match win, and one of them's about to get it. It's looking like Death, but this isn't over yet, especially if Sauerkraut can pull out a much-needed Spy win here. Then things get really interesting.
Early 51% flirt coming out of Sauerkraut, so that's always a nice little start to see. Even on a venue where you've got as much time as high rise.
Yeah, you'll take it. You'll take it. And Sauerkraut, 2 flirted on that Aquarium game, you might remember, too. Also opened with a green flirt there. Their AT rate in other competitive events was quite low, but that was very, very small sample and just a couple months ago. I think it's one of those players maybe that once they started playing regularly, that AT rate skyrocketed, and we're certainly seeing that anecdotally now.
Second flirt comes off. This one white, 85% is where it stands, with 2 minutes and 20 still left to play. Lots and lots of time. What is Sauerkraut going to do with it?
We're going to sit here, I'm thinking.
I mean, that is a reasonable thing to do with some of this time, to be fair.
And we're getting statue visitors. Look at this. Twin.
Another conversation is looking awfully inviting, though.
Are we going to free up this hand for a bug soon? No. And we're not going to take one on the way out. In fact, we're going to take a bit of a wide path so that it's very clear we're not bugging. Oh, by the way, fingerprint is off in this game. Purloin is on. We're seeing that more and more.
There's the flirt getting finished up. Also in with the double agent. Minute and 30 left to play. This is a very full back conversation. There's only a few people out of it at this point.
And with a minute left, you have to start thinking about when to take that contact, even if it's not as good as you'd like, and you're not going to get much better than this.
This is the opportunity. You got to hit that right click right now, DeathTacticus. Now's the time.
Sauerkraut doesn't want to lose his other statue visitor and Seek, but you have to. It's 2 low lights. There's the double agent. That's rough. I think keeping Twin in was the best you were going to get. That was your chance.
Double agent comes back, but that entire conversation just completely exploded. The contact is no longer looking very good.
4 people out, including Seek anyway. That was your chance. I think it's going to have to be contact into Purloin, and that could be the whole set.
Yeah, here's the contact. It's not nearly as good as it could have been, but it was good enough. The shot comes off, and Sauerkraut stays alive for 1 game more.
Wow, there it is again. Just 2 high-rise games, I think, where someone just completes inspects and gets shot, and that's all there is to it.
Oh boy.
Well, now we're on to something a little more straightforward. Courtyard.
Yeah, this is very much a bread and butter venue for a lot of SpyParty players. But it's often considered somewhat sniper biased, and spies often have to get a little bit creative to make one happen. DeathTacticus, with a shot to nothing from the spy side, has a chance to put it away right here. If not, 1 more game available. Sauerkraut on the sniper with his back against the wall has to win 2 in a row in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, that's the one that's really looming, a Sauerkraut spy game if they can win this. They obviously need to win this too, but it's what you call a necessary but not sufficient clause. You need to win the game you're supposed to win, but the real test is going to come right afterwards if you do.
Early green timeout to give DeathTacticus a little bit more room to work as far as the clock is concerned. Early flirt for 34% and in with the double agent. And it looks like a timer flirt. Usually you don't see contacts this early in the game, but if you find a really juicy one, and this is starting to look like it, you might just pull the trigger on it anyways. Double agent steps away though, so it's no longer an option.
I'm going to watch out for fingerprint in particular here from Death. I think if they get an opportunity, that might be the route they want to go.
It's almost certainly going to be a timer flirt, though, to open the game. There's the seduction. There's another white test. It's 68%. The best you can get off a white is 34. So we're going to have to get pretty close to the seduction target for the last flirt just to make sure we don't go over the line. But with that early time ad, we might just be able to continue standing here and take another time. Never mind, he left.
That simplifies things for you a little bit. You also can't really squeeze in next to them, so you're going to have to go here instead with Leopard as a chaperone and hope that the green test gets through the block.
Immediate chase, got close enough they didn't have to hit the green test, even with the character in between them. It was snuggly, but it was enough. That's the flirt done with 2 minutes and 5 left on the clock.
Take that, chaperone. We're done.
So, double agent on the other end of the statue. Ambassador in a at least mildly vulnerable position, but Sauerkraut really paying a lot of attention to it, especially with Toby right there.
There are 4 statue highlights already, too. You get 1 or 2 more of those near the end of the game, and if you don't knock them out with the contact, that can give the sniper so many things to watch late. That's normally how these courtyard games get won, even if the sniper is on the ball, is that there are too many people doing things late, multiple people at statues, someone near the ambassador, someone taking a drink all at once, and you just have to pick your poison, and you guess wrong and the spy wins. By the way, fingerprintable drink.
Yeah, got the print off it as well. That's always nice to see. Minute and 15 left to play, and in a great position to capitalize on the briefcase.
What
There's
a contact
coming off. I think that was literally every single partygoer except for the suspected double agent.
Yes, it was so excellent, except that 4 people have a real contact. But did Sauerkraut notice? Do they care? They didn't care much on pub, you'll remember.
SDA wasn't particularly on camera, was in the statues, but wasn't easy to see, so could very easily assume she was just in the back conversation there. 40 seconds left to play. The ambassador's not moving, no one's in his personal space, so we're not getting this fingerprint yet. And we still have one more mission to go after the fact.
If this print is truly free, though, that's a bug attempt.
So? I don't think it was a bug attempt. That was a walking bug attempt. I thought he was just trying to
twitch bug attempt
a little bit closer to get in his personal space, but no, that was a bug. The shot comes off. And we've got one more game to see if we hit overtime.
Death says, I know you're completely obsessed with this mission, but I really want to get it by anyway. That would really be winning in style, is to get the bug by Sauerkraut, who's looking at almost nothing else. The really surprising thing is not that they went for the bug anyway, just on someone camping it, although that's interesting if they've been watching the replays at all. The interesting thing is, clearly did not feel very good about that print, I guess. Felt like maybe prints have been watched pretty close, there's no doubt about it, but you know, you must not have loved your chances finishing with print instead. That's really interesting.
And it's possible he was just trying to catch Sauerkraut out on rotation and got caught out by the latency.
Sometimes that just works, too. Sometimes, look, with those quick little bugs like that, they look away for a second or two, they rotate, that's all it takes. You bet your whole game on it, that's fine. But as I mentioned before, this is the one that really matters right here. Death still gets to snipe on Courtyard for the finals.
And this is that game. If DeathTacticus can find the win here, that's the finals against Opie Wrights. If not, we go to extra time as Sauerkraut spies to stay alive in 3, 2, 1, playing it. That was a long chase for the seduction target, who just bounces the other way and leaves Sauerkraut in the dust. Man got completely juked by his seduction target there.
Yeah, that'll work. Fine, I guess. Yep. But you'll take it all. You'll also take this early activity because multiple statue visitors on one side, which means when you get that on Courtyard, not only do you get the highlights for the statue visitors and 2 AIs who could have completed inspect, but often they get flirt paired too, because that's a common spy move, is to get that flirt and the inspects in simultaneously. So there's a lot of benefit to that, and you can see there's 3 highlights right off the bat. Not bad. Only a white flirt in the meantime, but sometimes the state of the party is more important than that first flirt.
Did get that first flirt, by the way. Finally got her chased down and was rewarded with a close white for 34%, which is not ideal, but as we now step out towards the conversation with the double agent, we might be able to make something of this yet. It's a really hefty conversation with the ambassador and the seduction target in it that looks like a great target for the contact. Unfortunately, the SDA is not also in there.
Yeah, we are playing pretty slow here, but again, this party is very busy, but the problem is Death has shown so much patience as Sniper. That's a stop talk on the flirt, too, it looks like. I think we might have been interrupted, but it's still very noticeable from the Sniper side.
Yeah, 85% on the flirt after a close screen. I'm surprised that he didn't pull the trigger on that contact, but people often don't like taking it early.
Yeah, they don't. I can't think of too many top players who actually do. Bacon, Canadian Bacon comes to mind as one who often did, and I think it worked pretty well for them. I do think it's a little underrated. Not because it's great, but because almost nobody does it. Look at all these highlights. If you can get a really good contact now, things get really interesting, but you're still going to need to show the Sniper a little something or else get lucky, and I don't think you want to do that with your back against the wall and 1 minute to save your tournament.
Into the statues we go. 1 minute left to play. Sauerkraut's very much behind the curve on the time. He might have to, but he does indeed. There's the swap. White. There's the highlight. It's down to 2. It's a 50-50.
And all those highlights don't matter now. It's just 2 people.
Need a flirt.
Sorry is the other
contact. If Sauerkraut can make this happen, can survive these 2 missions, that's going to be the game. There's the flirt. All we need to do is survive the contact. 20 seconds to play, though. It's such a bad situation.
Oh no,
15.
Sorry just took a drink. That was your chance. If Sorry rejected there, you could get on this chain. Sorry was the one you were swapping for. There are so few ways to finish now if the shot hasn't already come off.
There's the contact, there's the shot, and DeathTacticus secures a spot in the finals against Opie Wright.
There it is, and it was a quick shot too. Was just not buying the green swap from Sorry. Just shot anyway, made up their mind about it. Maybe some of the aggressive flirting and stop talking had something to do with it, I don't know. But it was a quick, aggressive shot when they needed to take it. Boy, what a match that ended up being.
Yeah, that was a thing of beauty. That whole set was just wonderful.
I'm genuinely impressed by both competitors. They were really on the ball, showed a lot of patience. And it was just some good spy games countered by some good sniper games. You know, obviously the difference is that Aquarium spy game from Death, hiding the microfilm the whole way so that it seemed like they were one short in the mission count. No swap comes off. They get the right swap and the right inspect idle animation so that the sniper's confident the swap hasn't come off. That's what they need. And then you contrast that with Death seeing a fingerprint finish on pub and just shooting immediately. Those two moments are the ones that stand out for me. You flip those, you flip the outcome, and it's someone else in the finals. That's how it goes at this level, though, with the margins on these victories. Wow, Opie Wright versus DeathTacticus in the Summer Cup Finals.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thanks a ton for everybody who came out to watch. For those of you who don't know, this game is SpyParty. You can get it either on Steam or at SpyParty.com. If you get it on the website, you will also get a Steam key for the game. If you are interested in playing this game competitively, drop in the Discord. There's always tournaments that are going on and starting up. So the chances will be plentiful. Just drop by the SpyParty Discord and people will get you settled. Thanks a ton for casting with me, Warning Trek.
It was lovely to be here, and thank you to all the competitors, and in particular to Dells for running such a great show.
Absolutely. It's been a great time. I hope you all enjoyed it as well, and until next time, have a great evening.